The importance of breathing during exercise. You think you're breathing, but you're just making noise. Most people think they're breathing properly when they exercise, but they're not. I've noticed this over the years, not just beginners, but even with advanced athletes. I'm guilty as well. People make a lot of breathing sounds when they're exercising, so they think that they're breathing and taking in air, but in reality, they're mostly just breathing out. Let me explain. At first, the first few reps, things seem fine. You inhale fully and exhale fully, 100% in, 100% out. But as the reps go on and the fatigue sets in and the mind wanders, the breathing rhythm quickly breaks down. Without realizing it, they go from full inhales to only getting in, say, 80%, and 60%, and 40%, and less, until suddenly they're out of breath and can't figure out why. So what happens is that people think they're breathing, but they're mostly breathing out. They're still exhaling fully and forcefully, but your inhales become shallow, inefficient, or even skipped entirely. Your muscles end up starved for oxygen. I tell clients all the time that you're only as good as the amount of air you have. Once you gas out, you are out of gas and you are done. I don't care how well trained you are or how good you are. You can be a great football player, boxer, basketball player, golfer, or MMA fighter. Once you're out of air, you're done. You can know every move there is and be the best there is, but once you gas out, it is over. It's especially noticeable in more difficult or complex movements. Here's an example from my own training. When I'm throwing some basic punches or a punch kick, elbow combo on the mitts or on the bag, my breathing stays strong and natural. But the second I'm asked to execute an intricate combination for more precise moves or movements that require real focus, I unconsciously start to hold my breath. I'm concentrating so hard on the movement that breathing gets pushed to the back burner. I'm just hitting the bag, I'm just going to do jabs. So this is just a jab, very easy. I can breathe, I don't have to think much. It's just repetitive, very easy. Left arm, jab, jab, jab. Okay, then I'm going jab, cross, jab, cross, jab, cross. It's a little more, I have to think. Now I'm going to do combinations. And I'm starting to have to think a little bit. It's going to be harder to breathe. I'm not going to breathe as automatically. Now going side to side, it makes it even tougher. Throwing in a kick, make you gas out very easily if you're not breathing. Perfect example of how you have to keep breathing, you have to think through the process. Now I'm going to do the speed bag. Now this is easy, I've done this a million times. So I'm just right side, right side, right side, right side, left side, left side, left side. Don't have to think much, right? Now I'm doing combinations. I can breathe, I can talk, but now I've been trying something new. I saw this professional boxing coach, this old timer, he was doing forward and backward. So now I want to incorporate this. Now I'm going to really concentrate. And I noticed I have a really hard time breathing. I stop breathing, I'm holding my breath because I'm really focused. So this is another instance. All right, now here's a basic movement, just stepping up on a bench. I can breathe, I can talk, no big deal. Now I'm gonna step up. Now step up and lift my knee. It's a little more, okay? Now I'm still talking, still breathing. Lift up the knee. Balance, I'm balancing. Now I'm going to add a kettlebell in 3 movements. Now I've got to focus a little bit more, and this is where most people stop breathing. I'm just doing push-ups. Again, in the beginning, very easy to do push-ups, but then as you do the proper reps, slow on the way down, slow on the negative and up, you get to the point where you're exhausted and you start holding your breath. You start tightening up your whole body, right? We talk about this, tightening up your spine. And then you start holding your breath, and then next thing you know, less breath in, same breath out, less breath in, same breath out, and little by little you get gassed out. Now sometimes the exercise is so demanding that you don't even breathe at all. You just stop breathing, you hold your breath. So in this instance, on pull-ups, I see this happen all the time. I'm guilty as well. You just hold your breath. So now you forget to even breathe. You're not even breathing. Now we're going to do abs. Same thing happens. This is another exercise where people stop breathing altogether. They don't know when to breathe, right? Because you get your rib cage compresses, and so you're like, when do you breathe? But you got to keep breathing. I have a hard time doing sit-ups, so we can do some of these. And it's the same thing though. People tend to just hold their breath on this, but you got to breathe, nice and easy. Breathe through the exercise. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. This breath holding isn't on purpose. It just happens, and that's what makes it dangerous. You don't feel it until you're gassed out, and it catches up to you. I have had countless people argue with me that they are breathing until they realize that they are only thought they were. What happens is a breakdown of breathing during complex or stressful movements. It's a mix of mental override, neurological prioritization, and physiological consequences. Let's break them down. Okay, 1. Cognitive load hijacks autonomic process, the unconscious regulation of body functions. Breathing is automatic, governed by the brainstem, but when you're under high cognitive demand, like executing a complex movement sequence, your prefrontal cortex, responsible for conscious focus and coordination, takes over. This shift often interferes with autonomic function, like breathing. The brain says, hey, I need full bandwidth for this motor task, so let's put breathing on hold for now. Okay, 2. The fight or flight override. Intricate high stakes or unfamiliar movements can trigger a stress response. Even if the person isn't actually afraid, the brain interprets complexity and instability as a potential threat. This leads to a sympathetic nervous system spike, a fight or flight response, which favors breath holding or short bursts to prime the body for action, not sustained rhythmic breathing. And 3. Breath holding as a stabilization reflex. The body instinctively holds breath to stabilize the core and spine during physical effort. It's a protective reflex, which makes sense. So what are the physiological consequences to holding your breath? Well, there are several. 1. Oxygen debt and CO2 accumulation. Shallow or restricted breathing leads to an oxygen deficit and buildup of CO2. This triggers fatigue, lactic acid buildup, muscle burn, that pain you feel, and dizziness, especially in repeated or high output reps. 2. Loss of respiratory rhythm. Once your rhythm breaks, incomplete inhale, exhale, your respiratory muscles fall out of sync with your movement. The diaphragm becomes inefficient, and accessory breathing, muscles in the neck and chest start to compensate. This adds tension and drains energy. 3. The cumulative fatigue feedback loop. Each partial breath leads to slightly less recovery between reps, and this builds into a loop. This loop includes less oxygen, more fatigue, more mental stress, and more breath holding. And the cycle continues until, you guessed it, you're gassed out. So what can we do about it? First, we can slow things down. We've already discussed in other videos how important it is to exercise with proper form and timing. Don't rush through your movements. By slowing things down, you can take better control of your breathing. You can also consciously self-check your breathing. I do this all the time. I constantly mentally pause and perform a status check while exercising. Not just on my breathing, but an entire status check. How my form is, how is my timing, how is my breathing, how is my stress, what are my angles. This helps break the no breathing pattern. And the other ways to break a non-breathing pattern, when I hold my breath during martial arts training, my teacher hits me hard, quite hard in the chest or stomach. This immediately causes me to forcefully exhale and immediately breaks the non-breathing pattern. So it's about breaking patterns. I do not use this technique with my training clients, but it is effective, although I don't recommend it. So we overcome the 3 main causes of non-breathing by cognitive, conscious mental attention. Keep checking in. Am I breathing? Is my form good? Am I doing this correctly? The fight or flight. Internal pep talk. Relax your mind. You control your mind. You control your body. You are in charge. Stabilization. Don't fight this. Use your breaths with your body to support your body. You can still breathe while supporting your core and spine. Okay, so the bottom line. Breathing is more important than any other skill or asset. You cannot win a race, win a game, win a fight, achieve a mission without air. If you stop breathing, you stop. Capital S-T-O-P exclamation point. That's it. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about this topic and more about health, fitness, nutrition, inspiration, and wellness strategies, check out my 2 latest books, Biomatic Body, Fitness Strategies from the Animal Kingdom, and the 16 Elements of Fitness. And my other book, If, Inner Fitness, Your Body, the Owner's Manual. The title speaks for itself. If you have a question about fitness, it's probably in this book. They're both available on Amazon.com or linked from our website, www.phrogfitness.com. Thank you.